Hey, Sven here. Today I'm doing something completely different. Today I won't be presenting a make scenario or any automation. Instead, I'm going to take a look at vibe coding tools. As you might know, I've been developing software my whole life. I started when I was 13, so it's been quite a few years. And what has really fascinated me over the past few months is the development of these various vibe coding tools that are out there. I've already worked with Lovable and with Bolt.new myself, and now I'm thinking about whether I should use these tools in our company. And now I thought, well, why not just compare them? And when I was thinking about how to compare them, it occurred to me that I could also use the different models of ChatGPT to carry out the same comparison and then try out the results of that comparison. And that's what I'm going to do here, and I've selected 7 of these tools for this purpose. You can see them here. And I developed a prompt with ChatGPT in a sort of Socratic mode. That means I kept having it ask me what exactly I wanted to include in this comparison, and in the end I created a prompt that I can use with all the models. So yes, I'm basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That means on the one hand, I end up with a good overview of these different tools. And on the other hand, I've also demonstrated or tested how differently the various ChatGPT models work. I'm Sven, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been involved with process optimization and quality for over 33 years. Not just in business, but in all areas of life. And much of what I know today, I learned through experience and trial and error, and I know what really works. With my videos, I always want to show you how you can, for example, use process automation or topics like this one profitably for yourself and your business. And if you're not quite sure where to start and maybe need some support, just book a call with me. You'll find the link for that below this video. So let's get started. This vibe coding, that's a term that has been spreading everywhere for quite some time now. So coding with prompting instead of actually writing code. And now I want to compare these 7 tools. So that's Bolt.new and Lovable. I've already worked with both of them. Our team has already worked with Cursor. GitHub Spark is a brand new one. It's not even widely available yet. A friend of mine has already tried out Replit. Windsurf was acquired by OpenAI, and I just happened to see Blink.new in some LinkedIn post. So I thought, why not? I'll just include it in the comparison. And then I thought, well, if I do this with 4.0, I'll be done in about 30 seconds. Then I'll have a result, a table. But what does it look like if I do it with 0.3? What does it look like if I use 0.3 Pro? What about 0.4 Mini High, which is a very fast deep reasoning module? Then I thought, well, I can also turn on deep research mode, which, as far as I know, uses an 0.3 with additional capabilities. And for about a week now, there's been the agent mode from ChatGPT, and of course I want to try that out too, because I think that's a really exciting topic. I'll probably make another video about it in the foreseeable future. So I have this prompt. So first of all, you are supposed to compare these 7 vibe coding tools specifically for creating business applications. So I don't just want to make an MVP somehow, but I really want to see whether we can actually create more sophisticated products with it. Then I want to two parts in the result. First, a comparison of all the features, and now I've put together a list of criteria that are important to me, and I hope I haven't forgotten anything. But if necessary, I can always run it again at any time. So, first of all, user experience. How easy is this thing to use? Especially if, say, I have a non-technical user. Can a team collaborate? Are there roles? And can I make the whole thing multilingual? Then, what are the functional capabilities? So what does the user interface look like? How easy is it to modify? Is there user management, or can I integrate user management? What about multi-tenancy? That would mean, for example, that I provide software to different companies, and these companies in turn have multiple employees. But of course, the company's data is kept separate. Then I want to integrate some agents, and I really don't like that about this prompt here. It has to be N8N or make, not Zapier. I don't use Zapier at all. Then can I integrate other tools via a REST API, for example, our own software products or features of our products? Can I simply, integrate them into the widget there, for example? What databases are available? Is there an internal, like a native database, like Superbase, which many platforms include, or an external one? Then it continues with the technology. So what different tech stacks are there? What frameworks are available that I can use, such as mentioned here, React or even Superbase as a database? Are there any integrations that are automatically included, like Stripe for payments, for example, or Figma for planning, Slack for communication? Then what about version control and things like that? Can I export the code in any way and perhaps continue developing it in another environment? And what kind of documentation quality do I get in the end? Yes, then what about deployment? So what hosting options are available? Can I only host it within the respective system, or can I also host it somewhere myself? What about scalability if I want to make it bigger somehow? What about performance? And can I actually use the whole thing productively in any way? And last but not least, there are of course things like GDPR, SOC2 and so on. So what security and compliance features are available? Then what about pricing? So what models are there? And in the end, who actually owns the code? Is it really mine then? And in part 2, it's about, so those were the features, and now here in part 2 comes a management summary so that I actually have a meaningful overview. So, which use cases fit which tool? And you can also see that, what do I use for MVPs, for SaaS, for internal tools, or for production systems? What are the main strengths and weaknesses? What disadvantages might I have to accept or take into account? Strategic recommendations, and then a matrix or a table that in a way summarizes everything again. And for the output, I'd also like to have some proper headings, bullet points to make it easier to read, or tables. The tool names should actually be highlighted so that they stand out immediately, and the whole thing should be analytical. I also don't want any speculative or marketing topics included. And very important, if any information is missing, don't make anything up. Be transparent about it. So that's the prompt, and I'm going to use this prompt now. And now let's head over to ChatGPT. Let's start with 4.0, and then I'll just copy the entire prompt in here and send it off. And as you know, with 4.0, the system usually starts responding after just a few seconds. But now it's already taking quite a while. So obviously it's already searching a bit more intensely. Okay, here we go. Yeah, interesting. Obviously the advanced 4.0 model is now immediately and efficiently using its internet access capabilities here as well to actually thoroughly research everything more comprehensively, and the comprehensive result comes back remarkably quickly. Yeah, all the tools are listed, then comes the management summary, strategic recommendations, and that's it. All right, done. So let's move on. Next, we want to use O3. Of course, I'm also starting a new chat each time here. Then I switch to O3 and paste it in again. All right, and now it should start with think about. Exactly. And as you might know from O3, if you've used it before, the system now starts to have a dialogue with itself, meaning it breaks the task down into subtasks. And for example, here it says, I'm not familiar with some tools, and so on. You can actually easily open it by simply clicking on it, and then you will be able to clearly see the entire comprehensive progress of the system's intricate reasoning process, step by step, in a detailed manner. Yeah, watching this right now probably isn't very useful. So I'll just hit pause now, and then we'll wait until the result is there. All right, after 3 minutes and 12 seconds it was done, so I'm just scrolling down here. These are also interesting things, like for example, the request was in English, but the user speaks German, so we'll reply in English. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and now you can see a lot of internet searches here also on the various websites of these different products. Gathering information. Yeah, so you can see there's an incredible amount of results that have come out of this. We'll take a look at the details later. Okay, so now let's start a new chat again. Now we're moving on to O3 Pro. That's basically the best system, and it's only available starting from the team account. Okay, so here it also looks a little bit different in this particular area. No details available. There we go. Now it's starting. Okay, so you can see now the user interface is also a bit different here. Here you see reasoning running and some details are being displayed there. Well, so here too, we'll just let it run and check the results later. So O3 Pro took a little over 5.5 minutes, and you can see here on the right a lot of details here, which were again generated by O3 Pro's self-commenting and task division. And then it also starts here with some tables. Yeah, so of course we'll take a look at the results here afterwards as well. Then let's move on to O4 Mini High. It's actually ideal for programming and visual reasoning, but for now we just won't worry about that. And then we'll paste this in again, start the whole thing, and although O4 Mini High also takes a moment to think, it always starts working very, very quickly. And yes, once again, here we are utilizing an online search. Let us observe what transpires. Yeah, I could have basically just let the video keep running because O4 Mini High actually only took 31 seconds to think, and now it looks completely different again. Yeah, I'm curious to see. So let's continue. Now, let's set O3 here again and start a new chat. And now we'll turn on deep research here. And if I now paste the prompt in here again, yeah, then we'll let it run again. Okay, here it's asking me a follow-up question again. So I'll just simply say no and then just go right ahead and begin to start. Okay, so the research is being started and it will notify me when the analysis is finished. Just a quick note here in between, as I watch what's happening here, no details are being displayed. I think that's because it's just working on its own now and will eventually give a completion message. But what you can always see here is that it definitely accesses the different platforms and reads something there. You can also see here that 17 sources are displayed. So I'm curious to see what the final result will be. So after an incredible 3 hours, the deep research is now finished. 31 sources, 77 searches. And if you start scrolling through here, there's already quite a lot of content that's been generated. I'm really curious to see what there is to read in all of that. Yeah, and now it gets interesting. Now we're going to open a new chat and use the agent mode. This is the first time I'm trying this out. So I'll copy the prompt in here as well. And now let's just watch what happens. So let's click on start. Thinking, setting up my desktop. Okay, so this is a virtual machine that's being used here in a way. That's what they call it. Now it's starting by explaining, okay, to present a detailed analysis in 2 parts. All right, and now it's starting to open its browser here. Aha, you can always see what it's doing here. I think you can also enlarge this or click on it here. No, that's the switch between activity and desktop view. Yeah, it really is fascinating. It always shows what it's doing here. Opening the billing for prices, collecting prices, opening on the page. Strangely enough, it's suddenly speaking German now, even though it was just speaking English. Well, and what I've also seen is that when it's finished running, you can watch the whole thing again down here, like in the video. And somehow I thought you could also watch it in full screen. Reading mode, takeover browser, I definitely don't want that. I don't want to pause it either. Okay, then let's just let it keep running. Let's see what happens. And the agent is finished as well. That's also quite interesting. Just like with deep research, I also received a message here on my phone that says, analysis is complete, your structured report, and so on and so forth. Yes, and then when I click on that, I get taken directly to the website that we're looking at here, or rather to this chat here. And yes, as we can see here as well, it's turned into quite a comprehensive document. And yes, with that, as we can see here on the left side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 times it was simply called comparison, and then white coding tools comparison. Yes, and now I'm really curious to see how the different results can actually be evaluated. Let's just click through here a bit, and I'll then compile everything into a document, which I'll also make available for download, including the prompt as well. That way you can perhaps conduct similar analyses or research for yourself. So let's take a look. This is version 4.0. What do we have here? So here it definitely started off in German, bold user experience. So here everything is just briefly listed. Functional capabilities, technology extensibility. Then comes Lovable, then the same headings again. Cursor, GitHub, Spark. I'm surprised that they all actually already know about these. It's really new. Windsurf, Blink.new, then comes a summary tool, best fit use case. Strengths, weaknesses, strategic recommendations for internal tools. MVPs, Bolt.new, Lovable, Blink. Developers in the team post controller, Cursor, Windsurf. Organization with GitHub stacks, GitHub Spark after final release. Okay, so this actually includes that very important and comprehensive information as well. When considering trade-offs, the recommendation is that no single tool is ever truly perfect for every situation. Well, of course, that makes complete and utter sense, doesn't it? Okay, so that was 4.0, then 0.3, which is a very specific and detailed designation. Let's take a look here. That was the one who said he had to do it in English now. So here you can always, I'm just clicking on it again, here you can always display all the processes again to see what he did. That means all the research here is of course interesting, especially since all the links are also included. Okay, so it starts here with feature-based comparison user experience. Okay, now he just did it as a table. The 7 elements here, ease of use, collaboration and roles, multilingual functional capabilities. Those were then, now the table is laid out horizontally. Okay. Technology extensibility. Now that's a list, okay? It's a bit odd that he chooses a different format each time here. Here again, we observe a comprehensive table, meticulously laid out in a horizontal orientation. And then over here, it is positioned back on the left-hand side, presenting crucial details such as pricing structures, a detailed management summary, an analysis of inherent strengths, a thorough examination of existing weaknesses, and finally, well-considered strategic recommendations. Okay, so then we move on to 0.3 with Pro. That's also the version that's only available starting from the team version. Here you can see the rest of the details are shown on this page. Let's close that again, and then the criterion user experience. Now they're always laid out horizontally here. Okay, at least that's a bit more consistent what he did here. Here you can also see that the links are now always included as well, so you can look them up accordingly. He did the pricing like this here. Oh look, code and data ownership is missing for all of these here. Management summary, key points, notable gaps and risks, trade-offs, recommendations, bottom line. Okay, so interesting. Then it continues with 0.4 mini high. That's the one that really goes very quickly. So here you can see 31 seconds was the time. User experience is of course a bit more confusing now, simply because of this list format. But it is fast. Regarding the pricing structure and the details of ownership. Yes, there's hardly anything about ownership anywhere, and not here either. But here, ownership. Oh yes, so here it's definitely listed. Management summary, strengths, weaknesses, trade-offs, okay? And in total, our record here with 3 hours. I think it's already exhausting just to flip through this on your own. User experience, he always wrote a whole section on that, okay? Yeah, and actually it's really a lot. When I skim through it quickly, it looks to me like all of it is always somehow well-founded, taken from the documentation or maybe from other sources. Wow. Yeah, I'll have to sit down calmly and read through all of this. Deployment operations. Let's carefully examine what it explicitly states there regarding the ownership and the pricing of that ownership. It's hidden right in the text. So at this very moment, I am unable to thoroughly examine this in great detail right now. This is essentially a management summary. Aha, here again and again there are references to the sources. Strategic recommendations are also quite detailed. Okay, so it'll definitely be interesting to read through all of this at my leisure. And last but not least, what did the agent do? If you look at this here, it also says again, all right, worked for 14 minutes. And if I click on this here now, this is the cool thing I mentioned earlier. That means I can view the entire process here. So I can always see what it actually did. Well, a bad gateway happens sometimes too, and you can see that it goes to the different pages and then always kind of tells itself what it should do next. Very interesting. Analysis is complete, and here is a summary. Even the headings here are now in German. User experience, functional capabilities, lovable. Okay, so for each one, it's always the same structure. Code ownership, and there's something written about it everywhere here as well. So that was the only case up there with 03 where it was missing. Management summary again as a table. Strengths and weaknesses, strategic recommendations, concluding thoughts. Okay, so a really fascinating story. As I said, I will compile everything into a huge document and then make it available for download. It should then be available via the link below this video. Have fun reading and experimenting with the different models and modules. I'm really curious to see what it will be like with GPT-5, where a lot of things are supposed to be integrated together. Let's take a look at it. See you next time. Bye.